Inspirational Talk. Everyday people. Inspirational Talk. Intentional choices. Inspirational Talk. Extraordinary outcomes. It's Inspirational Talk with Toneal. Now here's your host, International Award-winning author and filmmaker, Toneal M. Jackson.
Hey guys, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it may be when you all are tuning in. I am your host, your empowerment specialist, Toneal M. Jackson, and I am so stoked about tonight's show. It is an all-new show. If you all have been on the countdown with me, I want to say it's been about 4 weeks ago now. Y'all, we are literally about 2 weeks away from the 7th annual APS Awards Gala. And so what I do in a way to count it down and to build up all of the excitement is I interview every week the various honorees in the different categories. And so we started out interviewing our artistic visionary of the year, Miss Aretha Tatum. And then the week after that, we came with the members of this year's Writers Society cohort. And then after that, we talked to our MVPs, Tracy Kincaid and Mary Millsap. And then last week, we talked to our Indie Poet of the Year finalists in the persons of Yvonne Bailey, Rochelle Matheny, and Jesse McClure. And so tonight, if I was in church, I would say, look at your neighbor and tell your neighbor tonight, we are talking to our Indie Filmmaker of the Year finalists in the persons of Toneal Brown, Shaquille Roberts, and Lisa D. Adams. I am so excited to have them on. Two of these ladies, this is my first time, quote unquote, meeting them. I can't wait to see them in person. But guess what? We don't have to wait much longer to have a conversation with them because they are here. So I'm going to first bring to the screen Miss Toneal Brown. And so, Miss Toneal, how are you, ma'am?
I am fantastic. Thank you so much for having me with you, but also allowing me to be an honoree. It's totally an honor. Thank you.
Come on. I love it. And we are definitely going to talk about you. Where do you hail from?
I live in Jekyll Island, Georgia. I'm originally from Indianapolis, Indiana.
Gotcha. And so we are so happy to have you on. I got a feeling, even though you're just now kind of coming into the APS family, this won't be the last that we hear of or from you. So welcome, Miss Toneal. And next we're going to bring to the stream Miss Shaquille Roberts. How are you, Miss Shaquille?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here with y'all.
Absolutely. And where do you hail, ma'am?
So I'm originally from the south side of Chicago.
Come on.
But now I live in the west suburbs.
Okay, gotcha. And then last but certainly not least, she is no stranger to Inspirational Talk with Toneal, none other than Miss Lisa D. Adams. Hello, ma'am. How are you?
Great evening, everyone.
Look, y'all, I am so excited. I'm not going to do a whole lot of preliminaries because I'm just ready to talk, because all of you ladies have inspirational stories that everybody wants to hear. And so as you all are coming on, regardless of the platform that you are watching it, be sure to like and share the video and then tag somebody that you believe would benefit from this episode. So obviously anybody who is fans or supporters of Toneal and Shaquille and Lisa, as well as people who are interested in filmmaking, those will be the individuals who would benefit from watching today's show. And of course, if you love a good inspirational story, then this episode is for you. And so Miss Toneal, let's start with you. If someone, and all of you all can think about this same question, because I'm gonna ask all of you, if someone was to ask you in your words, who is Toneal Brown, what would you say? How would you answer that question?
I'm just simply Toneal Brown that just walked out with a dream, trusting God to help her make it happen.
I love it. Come on, Shaquille. Who is Shaquille Roberts, girl? Who are you?
Honestly, I concur with Toneal. You know, I'm just like a visionary, you know, just a young girl with a gift from God and just trying to like share it with other people.
I love it. Come on, Lisa D. Adams, the seed sowing maven. Who are you, girl?
Oh, just like my sisters here, but one just willing to just, when I leave here, just like Steve Harvey said, I want all the wheels to be done broken, be flat. I want the engine gone. I want everything. I'm just one that's willing to take my leaps and bounds. I'm going for
That's right.
everything.
Yes,
I
I love
love
that.
it. I love it. And you know what? That is so important to not just know your purpose, but be willing to operate in it at all costs, right? Because you have a lot of people spend so much time trying to figure out their purpose. And then once they know, they're not doing anything with it, right? And so I'm one who believes that our lives are meant to be lived interdependently, meaning that we need each other to
Mhm.
survive. And so it's like, I need your purpose. So, Nate, I need you to be walking in your purpose. I need you, Shaquille, to be walking in your purpose. Lisa, I need you to be walking in your purpose, because then that's going to help make me be the best that I can be, right? Because I'm going to get the best of each and every one of you. And so, Tony, again, I'm going to come to you because I want to talk about this from the moment that we quote unquote met, AKA exchanged emails. So, y'all don't know this, and I may tell this story on stage at the gala. But
Oh,
when Toneal reached out to me, she sent the email. And this is when the process was first starting with the whole nomination. So it was an entire process. For those of you who don't know how these ladies ended up here, let me tell you real quick. So this is our second year doing the Indie Artist of the Year award, right? And so we recognize people in three different categories, whether it be filmmaker, whether it be singer or poet. And so you can either nominate yourself or someone else can nominate you. And so once you're nominated, then come May, we start doing votes. And so the people who get the most votes, the top three people who gets the most votes become the finalists. So that's how these ladies got here, and that's why you see them. But when Toneal reached out to me, it touched my heart so much because I didn't know Toneal before this entire situation happened. And she wrote me and she said, I don't know, because I don't even know that she knew she was writing me. She said, I'm submitting my name. I don't know whether or not this is legitimate or not. She said, but it sounds good. Like, I researched it. It seems like it's legitimate. I don't know if anything is going to come from it, but I'm still going to just submit myself, whether I win or I don't win. If this is legitimate, I'm proud of what it is that you're doing. And I think that is great. So let me tell you, this is legitimate. Lisa D. Adams have been to every gala, so this is legitimate. Um,
amen.
and it is something that I'm so glad that you saw and you believed in it to want to be a part of it. And so let me ask you, what made you want to be part of it? What made you want to nominate yourself or submit yourself for consideration as the filmmaker of the year?
The single word you have in the background, inspirational.
Okay, I love it.
Because if it's inspirational, I know it's God's base. And I know it's going to be something uplifting and encouraging, not only to myself, but whoever is linked to it, connected, whether it's their talent, their communication. I knew it wasn't going to be anything negative. I am very mindful and I try to be very careful. I don't allow myself or anything that I'm doing be linked to anything negative or that can turn into a negative, because this industry is so kind of choppy, where people can come at you real hard. They can hurt your heart. They can hurt your business. They can hurt your project. And I try to keep my whole process protected, as well as the people that I work with or associate with. I don't attend. I don't do a lot of things because I try to keep everything well protected, because we want to go to a level that God wants to take us to. And sometimes when you don't have the right connection or the right people with you, it can sabotage you at any point. And I'm just trying to make sure we don't go into the level of sabotage.
Well, you know what? That makes me feel even more special. Now I've got to hold back the tears, because that's huge. I mean, because again, when it's in essence your work is speaking for you. So thank you for recognizing this work that I have been doing. And it's really always about honoring and celebrating and uplifting others. You know, a lot of times we get involved in our work and we stay in our little cocoon, right? Like a lot of times we don't come out and see what other people are doing. But when you're able to see that other people are doing something that's worth celebrating and worth talking about, that's really what we do here with APS. Now, Miss Shaquille, you are also a new face of the APS family. What inspired you to get into filmmaking?
I've always been like a storyteller. Like that's just always been my thing. When I was younger, I wrote books or like novels. But I always wrote them in a sense of like description and dialogue. And I didn't know from a young age I was writing scripts. I thought that I was writing just like stories or books or anything like that. So coming out of high school, I had already done like journalism and like book writing. I was like, what other type of writing could I do? And then I saw my favorite movie, The Dark Knight, and I was like, oh man, I want to do this, So that's what kind of like got me into it. I never thought that I would get this far in it, but yeah.
And keep that thought, because we don't talk about just how far you've gotten, because I've been seeing some posts and you've been doing the dang thing and you've been doing it well. So we're definitely going to come back and talk about that. Miss Lisa, you started out as an author, ma'am. When we started connecting, you were an author, and now you have been not just, doing your filmmaking, you also do talk shows and different things like that with the media. What made you want to transition from author to, like the visual arts? So from the literary arts to the visual arts.
Well, it began with actually at the book read that you and I both was at. When the young lady approached me about a book about for our African American men, and so when I didn't have that book per se for that was special for our African American men, the lady kind of like snapped off on me. She did. She snapped off on me. But and what I only thing I could say to her was, ouch, and okay, I was going to, look into catering to our young men, but I really believe that she was a vessel. And so from that point on, just talking to some of my other friends who had sons, nephews, this, that, and the other, and I was like, okay, well, the book came to mind to do a book. Then God dropped in my spirit to do the documentary. And once I did the documentary, it was over. I just went full fledged, just kept going.
Man, listen, I tell people all the time, like creativity is very contagious. It's almost like, you remember how they say with Pringles, once you pop, you can't stop. Like, it's like whether it's a book, a movie, once those juices get to flowing, it's really no cutting them off. You know what I'm saying? Like once they're going, it's really just a matter of what vein am I going to use this idea for? Is it going to be, as Shaquille said, is it going to be a book, or is it going to be a documentary? Is it going to be like, what and how, God, are you going to use me? And what is it that you want for me to do in a time such as this? So now I'm going to ask you all the same question. So y'all be thinking, and let me see, I'm going to start with Shaquille this time. So in this journey, first of all, how long have you been in this filmmaking world?
So I've been doing film for like 10 years now. So I went to school when I came out of high school, just like I went to school for film in 2013, and I've been doing it ever since.
Wow. So in this time period, so whether you want to talk about the journey to becoming a filmmaker or since you've been a filmmaker, what has been one of the greatest challenges that you faced?
Oh God. How long we got? No, I'm just kidding. Being a filmmaker is hard. I would say the biggest challenge that I face, I think it's just my own personal view of myself as a filmmaker. Constantly having to like get over my insecurities. and get over just not believing in myself, because film can sometimes be like an isolating art, where it's like, especially being a writer, and then you're also director and you're also producer. Like sometimes there's so much of you in it that like you really, for me, I don't always have a person to like keep going. You got this. You know what I mean? So for me, it's constantly like having to like motivate myself and push myself that like you are making strides and you are doing a great job and things are moving in your favor and in your direction. Sometimes it's when you're in it, and when you're so in it as a writer, director, and producer, sometimes it's hard to like come out of that and like see the bigger picture and see how far you've come.
And I can definitely get that. Like I did a documentary as well. And I know like for me, I definitely had to get another set of eyes, because sometimes it's like you want it to be your vision, yes, but sometimes you get so engrossed in it that you're like, wait a minute, did I see that already? Like you know what I'm saying? So it's just like with a book where you need that second set of eyes to kind of go over what you wrote. You want somebody else to be able to come in. So whether it's a AD or whether it's an editor, however, to get some, get a different set of eyes on the project. Miss Lisa, for you, I know you said you've just kind of recently been within this. So how long have you been a filmmaker officially?
5 years.
Girl, look at it. That time been flying back. It don't seem like it, but yeah, because COVID been okay. Anyway, I'll get my memories
Well, I
together
take that back.
later.
I've been into film. I didn't start writing until I want to say 19, but I started out as an actor in 2018.
And a lot of times that's how it starts, right? Like just getting connected with the industry. And once you become connected with the industry, you get a little bit more deeply involved. So for you, Lisa, what has been one of the greatest challenges that you faced thus far?
Finances. That's cost money, man.
Preach.
This costs money. Money.
Got it.
We say in with an AY, not even an EY.
Man, money. Drag it out.
Girl.
I think I went into more debt. I'm not going to say chasing my dream, pursuing my dream, because I believe it's what God gave me. That's why I'm still able to maintain, because can I have $5? I don't have it. Nope. Don't have it today. Can we go? You treat? I don't have it.
Oh man.
I mean, listen, I'm for real though. I'm like, what? No.
It ain't happening.
So finances was my biggest challenge, because I had a great team, to look. But with that being said, I've been writing and filming since 2019 nonstop. So I went from the documentary, then I did the talk show, then I did the next film. So it's just been nonstop. So my bank account sitting up there with his hands on his hip, like, really? Like, you got the nerve.
I can't stand it, y'all. I cannot stand Lisa D. Adams. Listen, Miss Toneal, how long have you been a filmmaker?
11 years.
Okay. And so in 11 years, I am sure you have faced your share of challenges. Would you like to share with us what has been one of the greatest ones?
My only challenge is being in the process is heartbreak. When you believe in an actor or a crew member, you bring them on your team, you think you got them to be on the same journey with you, and then they flip that script and turn against you, criticize you because you don't do things the way they think it should be done, or their feelings get hurt. They want to make you the bad person, and they want to spread it as if you're the bad person, when really all you did is just didn't agree with their ideal of what they thought it should be. And so then then my heart is a very sensitive heart. because when I give, I give. And so, so for me, the most challenge has been when I dealt with people that their heart did not turn out the way I thought it would be, because I was pouring so much into them, and then they just flipped that script and either they cut me off or they did the thing to just try to purposely hurt me. Those were the challenges mostly for me overcoming. All the other stuff, I just did it. And just for you, Miss Lisa, I am going to recommend to you, Miss Lisa, so you can stop playing around with that money. Start going to those corporate companies and asking for it.
Oh, that's good. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that in a quick second. But right now, I want to thank everybody who's tuning in right now, who is watching this interview. This is it's a really good show. It's going to be kind of meaty because Toneal just brought up something that we're going to go into as soon as I get finished. Because here's the thing. This is for anybody who is interested in the filming industry, right? So whether as a writer, director, producer, because again, we use the generic term filmmaker, but the fact of the matter is that most filmmakers serve in multiple capacities. Most filmmakers probably wrote it, and if they didn't write it, they directed it, and many times they're helping to produce it, whether it's executive produce it or whatever capacity, you're serving in multiple roles. And a lot of times if it's written by you, it's your baby. And so I'm going to ask you guys this question, then we're going to go back to what Toneal brought up. Like, have you ever thought about, okay, if you wrote a script, allowing somebody else to direct it or produce it, or is it necessary? Like, if you wrote it, you have to be the one to get it on screen. Let's start with you, Lisa.
Well, I have the other producers, and those that are close to me, I trust them. And so for me to just have an outsider, no, not. I'm not there. I'm not there yet because just as Toneal, I think that's her name. I want to make sure I say it right. I don't think I can stand for you to take my baby and do what you want to do with it, because it's not your baby. And see, that may cause me to have to join the church again if you mess with my baby. So
yeah, okay, we're gonna end up. We gonna put Lisa gonna get out the room, because we gonna just go find some oil, and we gonna anoint, not even with the A, we just gonna anoint her. We gonna anoint her tonight because she just ain't right. I can't stand you.
I love her real talk. I
just can't stand. I can't stand them. But those who are close with me, because I had the team, the whole writing process for My House, My Rules. So when I thought I was at the end, we met. They went over and they corrected me and say, you have to do this, that, and the other. And I had a time frame to do it. So I did because they were more experienced than me. But these were people who have been with me for my entire journey. And so I trust them.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Toneal, what about you? Like, you've been doing this for 11 years. Like, has it ever been a time where you've written something and you're like, let me get somebody else to produce it, or whatever you create from start to finish?
I've done all of the above and over the 11 years. I started out, I think it was Lisa saying it, I started out as a novel writer. I wrote a book. I didn't know anything about filmmaking. And so when I was at one of my book clubs, one of the fans said that they would love to see the characters be in a film. So I shopped. And the first thing I dealt with was someone wanted to change my book into a script, but they wanted to take my name off of it and make it theirs. Then when we got into the producing side of it, they wanted to tell me it was going to take $300,000 to do the film, and I had to come up with all this money. And I was like, oh my God, I guess I can't do this. But when I went to the book club reading, and they asked, well, what's coming? How's it coming with making it into a movie? I said, I don't think it's going to happen. That's just too much money. And then one of my fans just screamed out, well, do it yourself. And I was like, oh, huh? Ding, 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 ding. So I just basically went on YouTube, went to the library, got every book, and just studied what it took to be a filmmaker, a screenwriter. And then I studied Sid Fields to learn how to take my book and transition it into a screenplay. And then I filmed it. It took me 3 years to film it, but I did it. I had 63 cast members that I was filming, that I filmed this project with. And then I went from that to just do short films. So I did every genre of a total of 33 short films. And then after that, it was just smooth. And then I ended up getting mentors. And then my mentors helped me with my writing to the point I was able to actually sell scripts. So I started taking the scripts I have written and started auctioning them to other filmmakers or directors or cinematographers who wanted to make purchase. So once they started making purchase, then that gave me money to invest in myself. And then what I do now that I've gone over this course, I have particular film scripts that I just fallen in love with. Those are the ones I actually film. So if you don't, you're gonna love all that you write. Don't get me wrong. But there are some scripts that are just tag at your heart, and it's like, I can't let nobody tell this story but me, because you want to make sure it's done right. So if I meet someone that I feel that they have the same heart that I have for the script, I don't mind, because one thing I've learned is you'll block yourself if you hold on too tight.
That's good. That's good. I love that. You'll block yourself if you hold on too tight. I love that. Now with you, Miss Shaquille, like, have you allowed anybody else to put their hands on your baby, or whoever, like whatever you've developed, you've produced?
I in college I did let someone direct my script.
I love it. I love it.
It didn't turn out great. But it was somebody who needed a grade, so he did it. He did as best as he could to get the grade, but he was more of an editor than a director, So I kind of learned from that experience. But honestly, I would allow someone else to direct, like my series, The Other Wife. I do want other people to direct it. I got into directing and producing because I couldn't really find a lot of opportunities. So for me, I am a writer at heart. Like, that's what I love. That's what fuels me. But I got into directing and producing because my stories were not getting seen, or they weren't getting told. And so, like Toneal said, I'm like, well, I'm just going to do it. But I will say, it does take a lot out of me, especially during filming time, when I'm like planning a shoot. It takes so much that it takes me away from writing a lot. So to be able to find another producer or another director or something like that to kind of take that load off would be great, honestly.
I love it. I love it. So if you guys are just now tuning in, I am joined by film producer Toneal Brown, Miss Lisa Adams, and Shaquille Roberts. These ladies make up the 2023 APS Filmmaker of the Year finalists. And so we are talking about their journeys. We've talked about their inspiration. We've talked about their challenges. And now I want to kind of bring back to the forefront something that Toneal said, because I've heard many filmmakers talk about how difficult it is. And let me specifically say many independent filmmakers talk about how difficult it is to get the project going because you need financing. And so, Toneal, you kind of brought up the concept of, well, get some corporate sponsors or get other people involved. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about what that process looks like?
Okay. Well, first of all, I didn't want investors, because investors have a tendency to try to control your project and how your project's done. So I tell immediately, I don't want you to invest. I want you to become a sponsor. So what I started doing early on, because I'm an accountant by trade and a business owner of different businesses I've done just growing up, trying everything. So I just took my business mind and just applied it to the filming, because even though it's something I love and enjoy doing, it's still a business. And the more you treat it like a business, the more you'll get people that want to either invest in you as a business. So how you portray yourself and present your project is how you're going to really get people to believe enough to want to give you money. So I just make sure that I look like I'm somebody they can trust and believe that I'm gonna do something with their money. And I always tell them, I promise you, I will spend your money. That's the first thing I say to them. No matter what you choose to do, I'm going to spend your money, but I will spend it right and I will manage it right. So that's the key thing that I start out when I communicate with whoever is going to be on the other side of me saying they're going to put some money in me. So as far as corporate, if you go to any corporate website page, at the very bottom, it tells you about the management investments. Click on those buttons and then get the person who's the decision maker. Once you get a hold of that decision maker, and ask them, tell them a little bit about your project. If you don't see where it says investment, look where it says advertisement. Every company has money put aside for advertisement. That advertisement can be used any way they choose. So I take advantage of that and say, well, you have the opportunity where I can either put your name on my project, your product on my project, or I can talk about your product and advertise it on, because I have several different platforms I've set up to be able to do my promotion. I don't do everything on my personal Facebook page. So I've created other pages so that way they're more on a professional level for them to see that they're putting their money into somebody that's professional. You know, not just, you know, with Facebook, you got to be really mindful on the stuff you post. It's okay to post some of your personal stuff, some of your whatever you want to say. But if you want people to really trust you and believe in what you're doing, you got to be mindful of what you post. That was the first thing that I wanted to make sure for myself. I can't tell anybody how to handle their own stuff. I just do what I do. And I pray, I seek God, and I trust God in every step that I do. And what I came to terms to realize is not everybody's a fit with the path that I'm taking. And I don't have to do it like everybody says it should be done. We all have our path of success and the level that we want. And I wanted to make sure that I was on the right path and just not duplicating what everybody's doing, but doing what God told me to do. So that's the first thing, is the corporate. The second thing, invest in yourself. But when you invest in yourself, think of it like tithing. When you work a job and you pay your tithing, you pay yourself. Put 10 to 20% of your money aside that's going to cover anything that you want to do for your dream. That money is not to be touched. I don't care what goes on in your life. That money is not to be touched for whatever it is meant for. So don't dip.
That's good. That's good. And go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. You want to say something?
No, I was just going to say, like, I really love how you took the time to explain it, because again, everybody is at a different point in their journey, right? And like how some of you, like Shaquille said, she went to school for this, but then Lisa said, hey, I kind of was background acting, so I was connected to the industry, and then I came into it. And then Toneal, you're like, I was not involved at all. And it just kind of called to me. And so the point that I'm making is, all of you ladies all of you have a particular aspect of wisdom that you can share. And it's really good for people who are watching, because, and this is where that inspiration comes from, right? Like, because you never know where somebody is in their journey. And a lot of times I think that we underestimate our value. And when I say our value, I don't mean necessarily as a person, but within our profession. You know, sometimes it could be easy to think, well, because I'm not making money like Tyler Perry, then maybe, you know, my project isn't as meaningful. But I always say, like, if you're in second grade, that means you can at least help somebody that's in first grade and kindergarten. You know what I'm saying? And so I just thank you so much for sharing those nuggets. Now, Shaquille, with you, man, when you were talking about your project, The Other Wife, I think I saw somewhere, because Toneal was just talking about them posts and how important those posts can be. I believe I saw a post somewhere that said that The Other Wife is now streaming on Tubi. Did I read that right? Girl,
Yes,
talk
yes.
about that. Like, how did you get that going? Because a lot of filmmakers, when they come out, what they'll do is, they do the initial screening or the premiere, whatever, but then that's kind of where it may end. So how did you go about getting your project where it's now available to stream on Tubi?
Yeah, the other wife has been a journey. It is my, my problem child and my baby. But this was like 2 years in the making with us filming The Other Wife and then it being a pilot. So originally what I wanted to do was like film it and then kind of shop it around and get like funding for more episodes. But of course, like God gonna do what he gonna do. And so like after like a year and a half of like trying to edit it and like doing the premiere, I decided to chop the pilot up into 3 episodes. And I was like, all right, this is my last attempt, of this show, because honestly, I just didn't know where to go. And it's actually, so it's streaming on Tubi, Roku, Apple TV, and
Come
Amazon.
on.
So it's streaming in a bunch of places, but I say that because once I like chopped it up into like 3 episodes, and honestly, I just started like reaching out to people, and like reaching out to these different platforms, and I'm like, hey, like, do you guys take content? You know what I mean? Like, can I set up a meeting? Like, that's really where I was. And for me, that was like a low point. For a lot of people, it's like, whoa, you did that. But for me, I was just like, man, I just wanted somebody to see it. You know what I mean? Like anybody at this point, because this was like my last ditch effort. So with exposure and like getting on Roku, it really was just like, hey, do you guys like accept content? Like, can I set up a meeting with you guys? And I sent it to them. And it took them like a while to get back to me. And I was just like, all right, I'm done. I'm over it. And the lady like emails me and she's like, oh, sorry, I was on vacation. We love the show. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was like sitting here, like nervous for so long. And even with Tubi, like going to a distribution, platform was like kind of, it just wasn't something that I planned to do.
Well, congratulations on that.
Right. That's huge.
Yeah, so it was a journey, you guys. It was a 2-year journey of like getting here, but now it's streaming and things like that. And I'm super, super happy and like proud of it, but it really was like, it was a lot going through it. I'm like so grateful to God for where He has taken it, because I just didn't expect it to get this far and to have the amount of support that it has.
That's awesome. And let me say this, that's one of the ways too, when it's a God idea and not just a good idea, right? Because when you can't figure out, like, no matter how smart you are now, anybody knows me knows I have like a bazillion notebooks. Okay. I write down everything. It's ideas for everything. But there are some things that is beyond you. No matter how intelligent you are, no matter how much planning that you do, there are ways that God just can blow your mind. He says he's able to do exceeding abundantly above all that you could possibly ask or even think, right? And so it is so awesome when you're able to see the hand of God moving. When it's undeniable, that this right here, this was God. Nobody else could have touched this, blossomed this, make this happen except for Him. And to that point, Lisa, I'm gonna ask you, like, in your journey with what you've been doing as a filmmaker thus far, do you have a moment that like strikes you as one of those times where you're like, I know that God had to have been the one to do this, because there's no way I could have made it happen myself?
But the whole thing, the whole concept, because it was never a dream.
Yeah.
It was never a dream. The book, see, to become a book author was fine because I always journaled. I always wrote. So that right there wasn't a surprise. And it was a great and amazing accomplishment. But this film thing, I was like, okay. So I was actually kind of scared. I was scared because I was really out my element. I was out my element when I became a background actor. So I had no terms. They was like, boxing, what does that mean? I'm like, what? I'm thirsty. I can't get up. What? you know, so so the whole just the whole concept of it was mind blowing. But yet, what it showed me was God has no respect of person. He gives each and every one of us gifts and talents, and for his glory,
Amen.
he will use us and allow testimonies like the three of us sisters here. So this here is going worldwide. We don't know what we went through, how it's blessing someone else, because I've been definitely blessed by each and every one of you.
Oh,
I'm in movie number 2, y'all. 11 years. You just getting on Tubi, and we just doing we're gonna have our third showing of our movie in September. So I am excited to be in the room with you, and so your testimonies push me to just keep moving. I thank you for the advice, because it's confirmation. Someone else had told me bits and pieces of it too. So now it's up to me to do it. So what we're seeing here is to push someone else to the next level, which was what I believe inspirational talk is all about.
You better say it. You better say it, because that's what we do. It's just an extension of APS. And our mantra with APS is we are better together. Right? Like, because here's the thing, you have to learn who your people are. One of the things that walking in your path quickly shows you is who your people are not, right? Like, because you may automatically think, and I can't tell you how many authors and entrepreneurs I've met along the way gave me this story. Because I thought my family was going to be there for me. Well, I thought my best friend was going to be there for me. You know, they said, as soon as I wrote the book, made the movies, wrote the, sang the song, as soon as I had the release, I made the launch, that they was going to be there, and they wasn't there for me. And one of the things that I learned is that God is always going to give you what and who you need. It may not always be what and who you expect, but he's going to always make sure that whatever and whoever you need, that they're always there at that point. And I was finna ask a question, but Shaquille, your reaction to what I said, I got to come and I got to ask you, because it just seemed like it was a story behind that expression. Do you care to share? You can leave the names to the side, because we don't know who you talking about, but it just seemed like that hit home for you when I said that.
I mean, yeah, you hit it right on the head. Man, I can't tell you. Like, honestly, I'll be so like raw and real in saying that, like, I don't even always invite my like friends and families to my screenings. I don't. But for me, I've consistently, any screening that I've had, whether it's just my screening or my movie screening somewhere else, I've had people who I didn't know say, "Oh, I saw your Facebook post." You know what I mean? And I wanted to see it. So it really like resonated with me that, like, dang, it's such a bigger world out here, and there's just so many people out here who are willing to support, who care about what you're doing. And so if I would have just focused on my circle, if I would have just focused on my family, I would have never seen the amount of love and support that I've seen, come from people that I just did not know.
And that, I think, is huge too, because a lot of times we are, I think that it's a default mentality that it has to be a kumbaya moment, and I think one of the things that you learn as an entrepreneur is that when God calls you, he don't always call you in groups. You know what I'm saying? He don't always call the entire family. He don't always call the class of, you know what I'm saying? Like, when he calls you to your purpose, then he's calling you to see if you're going to be obedient and if you're going to be willing to walk in it. Doesn't mean that you're better than anybody. journey. It just means that I now know what my purpose is and I'm willing to walk in it. And to everybody that's just tuning in, hello to everybody. Hello to Rochelle and Beatrice and Ovita, and to everybody I done seen jump in here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you all happen to have any questions, you can go ahead and post them for the ladies, because believe it or not, y'all, this has already been 45 minutes. When I say that this interview, and I knew it would, Tony, I told y'all in the green room, I told y'all, I said, watch this time gonna fly by. I told you, I knew that it would, but it's a couple more things I want to bring up before we wind it down. I want to talk about memorable moments, good or bad, positive or negative. It's been a long journey for everybody, I know, but all of us have at least like one thing that comes to mind, one memorable moment that stands out. Y'all might have more than one, but just for the sake of this interview, I'm asking, what is one memorable moment that you have that's connected to your filmmaking journey? Toneal, I'm going to start with you.
Woo! First, I want to say what Shaquilla said. Shaquilla, one of the things I learned was best friends are often strangers. And God sometimes hides you from your family and your friends because they are the ones that touch you most sensitively. That prevents you from doing what you are called to do. So always look at it like the leopards. Sometimes people are leopards and you can't, and God only gives the gift of the leopard that does what he's supposed to do. But if he hoards it, God takes it and gives it to the one who's willing to use it. I just had to throw that in there. Now, my most memorable moment was when I first filmed my first movie, which was called Rough Patch Twisted Fate. It was all new to me, and there was a scene with an actress. Her name was Valère Sarah. She is like the most amazing actress that touched my heart, that helped me feel real, that I could actually walk in this. She had a scene that was so traumatic, and she was bipolar in this scene, and she made that character come out so real. It hit me so hard that I literally had to run into the bathroom and I just poured out crying because it was just too real, because she took what I wrote on the pages and put it in front of the camera through her acting. And I was just so overwhelmed by her talent. So I have built the actors that I work with from her professionalism, her way of providing her strength of talent to a character. So she made a decision in that moment. These are the type of actors I want to work with. So when I do my auditioning of actors, I want to make sure they're fully bringing in who they truly are as a talent, not just to be someone that says, "Oh, I just want to be an actor."
Right.
That's me, because I just want to be an actor. You got to bring more than just wanting to be an actor. You got to bring in some talent with that acting. And so she was the foundation that I built upon to make sure that when I cast, I'm truly casting somebody for that character, not just to say you're booked.
That's good. That's good.
That was a memorable moment.
That's good. Come on, Lisa. What has been one of your most memorable moments?
Okay, one of my most memorable moments is, my cast, I work with our young men a lot. So when they say to me, "Thank you for giving me a chance." Oh my goodness. Just those words right there. It's like, yes. It lets me know that I'm still help my son. That's my brand. And so when I hear them say thank you, and when I hear them say, this is my very first time I've ever had this opportunity, and even grown men say, never once did I think I would ever see myself on the screen, and I never even wanted to, but this was fantastic. So that for me is just confirmation from God that I'm on the path he wants me to be on. And I know you said one, but I got to throw a shout out to the babies. The grandbabies, they look at the movie every time they come over. My ride or dies. my 5-year-old, 4-year-old, they look at the movie every day they come over. And one says, Nana, my film gonna be at the movie. You can't, man.
Yeah.
She's only 5.
Yeah. And you setting that example already. That is awesome. That is awesome. Come on, Miss Shaquille, what's one of your most memorable moments?
One of my most memorable moments, and I know I talk a lot about like the struggle and overcoming because that is my journey. I'm constantly struggling and like overcoming. But one of my most memorable moments, and I talk about it a lot with my short film Lucky Number 7, and just submitting it to a bunch of different festivals and like constantly getting rejected and rejected and rejected, and me being like, man, does this need to be re-edited? Is it just not great? And all of these things. And then having, after all of that rejection from these smaller, festivals, having Black Harvest, which is, one of the biggest in the Midwest, accepted, was like so amazing to me, because I was really thinking on a smaller level, and like being just devastated when these festivals did not accept me. And so when one of the biggest in the Midwest did, like, that was a huge like motivator for me to be like, you got this, like, keep going, because I tend to like really get down, honestly. Like, this filmmaking, it's just not easy. It's not easy. It's a beautiful struggle. I love it. It's nothing else that I want to do. Believe me, I've tried. There's nothing else that I want to do but like tell stories. And so like, God knows with me, like, he has to constantly be like, girl,
get together.
To this is what I'm
I ain't changed my mind.
Yes, that was like one of those moments where it was like, okay, wow, I was thinking so much smaller than this, but I'll take it.
Absolutely. Now, y'all know it would not be inspirational talk. We done talked about the challenges. We done talked about the memorable moments, but we cannot leave inspirational talk without talking about what has been your most rewarding moment or feeling or time, like, because there is something that makes you keep doing this, right? Like, there has been, and maybe your most memorable, Shaquille, is also your most rewarding, who knows, but I'm gonna start with you. So what has been one of your most rewarding moments in this entire journey?
I would say my most rewarding is my team. The cast and crew, like the people who just constantly just show up ready to work. Especially with this cast, honestly, even though we're streaming, I was not planning on bringing the other wife back, but it wasn't until one of my cast members was like, I can't wait to the new episodes. And I was like, new episodes? What are you talking about? We did what we came to do. And so like, just having like a team of people who like really believe in it. And especially with this last team that I had, like, I met these guys on set. We did not know each other. I met them on set, and they all came and gave it 100%, not knowing me, you know what I mean? Just seeing my work, came and gave it 100%. So that's something that keeps me motivated, is having people who come through and show up and like really believe in the vision.
Absolutely. Come on, Miss Toneal.
Oh, I thought you was gonna go to Lisa. Wow. For me, it's my mentors. I have 12 mentors now that recognized me. They showed up and hid themselves at one of my film sets and watched me. And when they saw that I was so sold out to doing it, they offered their mentorship. And they took me under their wings, and then they trained me in every aspect. So you don't have to do no one thing. They trained me how to be a filmmaker, how to be a director. They helped me to get registered to be under the Directors Guild of America. They trained me on how to get even an award recognizing with Writers Guild. And then on top of that, they had 42 that they started training. By the time we got to the end, it was only 3 of us.
Wow.
And then out of that 3, they invest in us, and they taught me how to be a showrunner. I got to be a showrunner for Tom Clancy, Ryan Jack Ryan series. I even got to be on Bad Boys when they were doing Bad Boys 3. We're doing stunts. So the memorable is being in association with them at their level, learning from them, because when I got started, nobody, and I literally means nobody, was willing to help me in any kind of way. Like Shaquilla, you said you reached out. I reached out, but nobody wanted to help me at all. So that was a blessing that you got people that was willing to help. I had no choice but to try to figure it out on my own. I became the filmmaker that did everything: the camera, the lighting, the sound, the editing, the distribution, everything I had to do myself to learn how to be a film producer, to make sure my projects even become recognized or out there watched. So I commend you so much for having the heart of team, people willing to work with you. That is the most beautiful gift you can ever get.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I concur with all of that. Come on, Miss Lisa. What has been one of your most rewarding moments?
To hear my kids say, "Mom, you did it."
Yeah.
I mean, they be like, what you need. Okay, you doing this, you doing that. So to just have them in my corner, I am blessed to
Yeah,
have
you are.
full family support in
Yeah.
everything, to the point of where sometimes I say, because I don't want to take advantage of them. It's like, it's okay if y'all don't come. I won't be mad. Because y'all there for everything. And so I'm blessed, and I don't take it for granted. So the
Exactly.
member for me is just being the one to say, I tried it and I made it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You did that, girl. You did that.
Listen,
So
listen.
that's it.
And let me tell you something. What I have loved about this interview is that all of you have added value in your own way, right? And I think that this is very reminiscent or necessary. I won't even say reminiscent, but it's very necessary in today's world, because a lot of times you can get so caught up thinking that you have to be like somebody else, right? But when you realize who you are, and you are happy and you're grateful and you're content with what you bring to the table. So I don't have to, Shaquille doesn't have to try to be Toneal or Lisa, and Lisa doesn't have to be Shaquille or Toneal, and Toneal doesn't have to be, you know what I'm trying to say? Everybody can be who they are, be confident being who they are, and realize that I'm bringing my own value to the table. And it's not a competitive thing, but we all can learn from each other. And I have had such a pleasure watching this interview as it was taking place, listening to you all, like jotting down my own mental notes. Best believe I will be rewinding this and watching it with a notebook, pen, and paper, okay? Because there were a lot of great nuggets that you all left. And so we are coming down to a close. What I want to do is yield the floor and allow all three of you ladies to share your contact information, so that if anybody wants to connect with you, whether it's on social media, whether it's supporting your projects, your website, whatever, you have the floor to do that. And then leave one final remark. So whether it's a word of encouragement or just something that you would like to leave with our listening audience. And so, Lisa, let's start with you. How can people contact you, and what's your final words for the show?
You can reach me on Facebook, Lisa D. Adams, on what's that other one? Instagram, and Help Me Help My Son. And you can also find me on Help Me Help My Son on Facebook as well. Please do reach out. I would love that. My final word for you would be to keep going. No time for giving up. Keep going.
I love that.
Just keep going.
I love it. I love it. Come on, Miss Toneal.
Oh, okay. I was giving thought to what she said. I was writing down so I can make sure I had some thought. The first thing I would say is, don't ask for permission. Give yourself permission. And don't allow yourself to sabotage yourself, but don't allow anybody else to sabotage you. Everybody has an opinion, but the only opinion that matters is yours.
Yes, that's good. Now, how can they connect with you?
I try to keep everything simple. Just see how I spell my name. Just look up my name and Google me.
I love it. I love it. That is awesome.
I like to keep it simple.
Come on, Miss Shaquille. How can they connect with you, and what's your final words for today?
Yeah, so you guys can connect with me on Facebook. My business page is PYNC Studios. And then you also can connect with us on Instagram at The Other Wife Pink. And also my Instagram, Shaquille_Pink. Just finally, first, I would just like to say, like, thank you for, allowing us to be here. I'm honestly so proud of you guys, like just meeting you guys today. Like, I feel so inspired. And honestly, like, this is one for the books. Like, as you talk to us about like what our journey is, like, this is part of my journey, this moment, and being selected as one of the finalists. Like, this is one of the things that I'm going to like go forth and be like, yeah, this was one of the things that inspired me. This is one of the things that like kept me moving. So thank you so much first for just having me here. And then also just like take risks, man. Just take the risk. Just take the risk. Bet on yourself. You're worth it. Whatever you're trying to do, you are so worth it and you deserve it.
Amen.
I love it. I want to thank all three of you ladies, Lisa, Toneal, and Shaquille. Thank you all so much for taking time out of your schedules. I know y'all got stuff and things to do, but you availed yourself for this. And I thank you so much for all the wisdom that you dropped, for all of the nuggets that you shared, the transparency, everything. Thank you, because I know I don't have to think. I know that this has helped somebody. So thank you all so much. You guys stay in the back room for me while I wrap up this show. So to each and every one of you who tuned in today, thank you all so much for tuning in. And again, if you want to see more of Lisa, Shaquille, and Toneal, please get your tickets if you have not already done so. Like, legit, time is running out. The gala is 16 days away. The 7th annual APS Awards Gala is in 16 days. And so you cannot catch them on sale. Tickets are no longer on sale on Eventbrite. But if you connect with me on social media, so at my name is Toneal, you inbox me, then I'm going to see what I can do for you guys. But I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. And please be sure to tune in next week. Believe it or not, this is the final week, guys. We done did 5 weeks of interviews already. So next week is the final week before the gala. So next week we have joining us the APS Indie Singer finalists. And that's going to be in the persons of Kamitras Hunt, Ryan Nicole, and yes, guys, she's going to be back, Miss Tracy R. Kincaid. So I want to thank you all so much for tuning in. And again, let me put this up here as well. I just want to make sure that everybody knows, if you want to be a guest on the show, because starting in September, we're going to be starting a whole new segment. This entire month of August has been dedicated to APS. But if you would like to be a guest or a sponsor of the show, then please send an email to TonealJackson@yahoo.com. And so that way you will be able to get on here yourself. If you have an inspirational story to tell, then we want to help you to tell it. And so I want to thank you guys again so much for tuning in. And until next time, you guys stay inspired.